The stars burned cold in the endless void, a silent witness to the greatest gathering of civilizations in history. Ships of every shape and size drifted near the colossal space station, Harmony's Edge, a marvel of engineering built by the combined efforts of a dozen species. This was the ultimate crossover, an event where warriors, scientists, and explorers from across the galaxy came together, not for war, but for something far more dangerous: unity. Among them was Captain Rin, a human with a reputation for surviving the impossible. His ship, the Dawn Chaser, was small compared to the massive dreadnoughts and sleek alien cruisers, but it had seen battles that would make even the proudest warriors hesitate. As he stepped onto the station's docking bay, the air hummed with energy, literal and metaphorical. A towering Vorathian, his armored scales shimmering under the artificial light, approached. "Human," he rumbled, voice deep enough to shake the floor. "You are late." Rin smirked. "Fashionably late. You know how humans are." The Vorathian snorted but didn't argue. Together, they moved through the bustling corridors, passing beings of all shapes, some with too many limbs, others with none at all. The station was alive with chatter, trade, and the occasional brawl. Then, the lights dimmed. A holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the Grand Hall. The image of a mysterious artifact appeared, a relic older than known civilization, rumored to hold the power to rewrite reality itself. A silent tension filled the room. The Vorathian turned to Rin. "This is why you were called." Rin's grin faded. "And here I thought this was just a party." The projection spoke, its voice echoing across species and languages. "The artifact has been found. The one who controls it, controls everything." The ultimate crossover had just become a race against time. The hologram flickered out, leaving the gathered delegates in stunned silence. Murmurs spread like wildfire, some voices excited, others fearful. Rin crossed his arms, his sharp eyes scanning the crowd. He had seen enough wars to know that power like this never brought peace. Only chaos. The Vorathian, Commander Drax, leaned in, his voice a low growl. "The High Council wants this artifact secured before the wrong hands claim it." Rin raised an eyebrow. "And by wrong hands, you mean?" Drax's reptilian eyes narrowed. "The Kelder Syndicate. The Void Reapers. The Tarkin Empire. Take your pick." A sharp laugh escaped Rin. "So, basically everyone here?" The station's alarms blared. Red emergency lights pulsed as a robotic voice announced, "Unauthorized breach in Sector 9. Security teams, respond." Rin and Drax exchanged a glance before sprinting toward the disturbance. Sector 9, Docking Bay. A sleek, black ship had forced its way into the bay, its hull scorched from a reckless entry. The ramp lowered, and out stepped a figure clad in dark armor, Kale, a rogue mercenary known for working with the highest bidder. Behind him, a squad of cybernetically enhanced soldiers fanned out, weapons raised. Station guards moved to intercept, but Kale raised a hand. A pulse of energy erupted from his gauntlet, sending them flying. "Sorry, boys," Kale said, smirking beneath his helmet. "But this relic? It's mine." Rin and Drax arrived just in time to see the carnage. "Kale," Rin muttered. "Should have known." Drax clenched his fists. "We cannot let him take the artifact's coordinates." Rin drew his sidearm, a modified plasma pistol. "Then we move now. The chase begins." Kale's forces were already hacking into the station's mainframe, extracting data. Rin and Drax fought through the mercenaries, their combined skills making quick work of the first wave. But Kale wasn't just some hired gun, he was a tactician. As they reached the control room, the doors sealed shut. A holographic projection of Kale appeared, laughing. "Too slow, Captain. The coordinates are already mine." Rin cursed. "He's transmitting them somewhere." Drax snarled. "Then we follow." The station shuddered. A distant explosion rocked the hull. Kale's ship had detonated charges on his way out. Harmony's edge was under attack. And the race for the artifact had just turned deadly. The station trembled as secondary explosions rippled through its lower decks. Alarms wailed, and emergency force fields flickered to life, sealing off breached sections. Rin and Drax sprinted through the chaos, dodging falling debris and panicked delegates. "We need a ship," Rin shouted over the din. Drax pointed toward a hangar bay. "There, my cruiser is docked nearby." A group of Kelder Syndicate enforcers blocked their path, their jagged energy blades humming. Drax didn't slow down. With a roar, he barreled into them, his sheer mass sending two sprawling. Rin fired precise shots, disabling the others before they could react. They burst into the hangar just as Kale's stolen vessel shot out into open space. "He's getting away," Rin growled. Drax's cruiser, the Iron Claw, was a hulking Vorathian warship, not fast, but heavily armed. They boarded just as the docking clamps disengaged. Aboard the Iron Claw, the ship's engines roared to life, hurling them into pursuit. Rin strapped into a co-pilot's seat, pulling up scans of Kale's trajectory. "He's heading for the Necron belt," Rin said. "Asteroid field. Perfect place to lose a tail." Drax snarled. "Or set a trap." As they entered the belt, jagged rocks loomed in the darkness. Kale's ship weaved expertly between them, but Rin spotted something else, small, cloaked signatures hiding among the asteroids. Ambush. A swarm of drones erupted from hiding, opening fire. The Ironclaw's shields flared under the barrage. Drax returned fire, plasma cannons tearing through the drones in bursts of molten metal. Then, a massive shape emerged from behind an asteroid, a Tarkin battleship, its weapons charging. Rin's blood ran cold. Since when did the Tarkin Empire work with mercs? Drax's claws dug into the controls. Since the price was right. A desperate move. Outgunned, their only advantage was speed. Rin rerouted power to the engines. "We can't take them head-on," he said. "But we can outmaneuver them." Drax nodded. "Hold on." The Iron Claw plunged deeper into the belt, dodging asteroids and cannon fire. Rin targeted a volatile gas pocket ahead and fired. The explosion rocked the Tarkin ship, buying them precious seconds. Kale's vessel was still ahead, but now a third player entered the fray, a sleek, silver fighter, unmarked and faster than anything Rin had seen. It streaked past them, launching a missile that crippled Kale's engines. "Who the hell is that?" Rin muttered. The mystery ship hailed them. A masked figure appeared on screen, voice distorted. "Follow if you want the artifact. Hesitate, and it's gone forever." Then the ship vanished into the void. Rin exhaled sharply. "Well. That's new." Drax growled. "We follow." The hunt was far from over. The silver fighter streaked through the void, its engines flaring as it led the Iron Claw toward the edge of known space. Rin studied the star charts, his fingers flying over the console. "That course leads to the Vexus Expanse," he said. "There's nothing out there but dead worlds and wreckage." Drax's eyes glowed in the dim light of the cockpit. "Perfect place to hide something you don't want found." A proximity alert blared. Kale's damaged ship was still following, limping along but refusing to retreat. Worse, the Tarkin battleship had regrouped and was gaining. Rin clenched his jaw. "We've got company. And I doubt they're here to negotiate." The ghost planet. The silver fighter descended toward a barren world, its surface scarred by ancient wars. As the Iron Claw broke through the atmosphere, the ruins of a forgotten civilization came into view, towers of blackened metal, half buried in the dust. The mystery ship landed near a massive crater, its pilot stepping out before the dust had settled. Rin and Drax approached, weapons ready. The masked figure removed their helmet, revealing a woman with piercing blue eyes and cybernetic markings along her temples. "Captain Rin," she said. "I'm Lyra. And we don't have much time." Rin kept his pistol leveled. "You've got 5 seconds to explain why we shouldn't shoot you." Lyra didn't flinch. "Because I know where the artifact is buried. And if we don't move now, the Tarkin will claim it first." Drax snarled. "Why help us?" She glanced at the sky, where Kale's ship was descending like a wounded predator. "Because I've seen what that thing does in the wrong hands. And I'd rather it be in yours." The ruins below. The entrance to the underground vault was hidden beneath a collapsed temple. As they descended, the walls hummed with faint energy, etched with warnings in a dead language. Rin's scanner flickered. "This place is still active. Some kind of power source deep below." Lyra led the way, her cybernetics interfacing with the ancient systems. "The artifact isn't just a weapon. It's a key." "To what?" Drax demanded. Before she could answer, the ground shook. Explosions rocked the surface. The Tarkin had arrived. Kale's voice crackled over Rin's comm. "You really think you can just walk away with this prize?" Lyra cursed. "They'll dig their way in. We need to move faster." The group sprinted deeper into the ruins, the walls pulsing with eerie light. At the heart of the complex stood a sealed chamber, its door covered in strange symbols. Lyra placed her hand on the panel. "Only someone with the right genetic signature can open it." The door groaned, then slid apart, revealing the artifact floating in a beam of golden light. A monstrous roar echoed from the tunnels behind them. The Tarkin weren't the only things that had followed them down. The artifact pulsed with an eerie glow, casting long shadows across the chamber. Rin stepped forward, but Lyra grabbed his arm. "Wait," she warned. "It's not just a key, it's alive." Drax growled, his claws flexing. "What does that mean?" Before she could answer, the ground trembled again. The roars grew louder, something massive was tearing through the tunnels behind them. Kale's voice crackled over the comm once more, this time strained. "You idiots, you woke it up." A section of the wall exploded inward. Dust filled the air as a monstrous biomechanical guardian emerged, a remnant of the civilization that had sealed the artifact away. Its armored plates shifted like living metal, and its glowing eyes locked onto the intruders. The Guardian's wrath. The creature lunged. Drax barely dodged, his armor scraping against its razor-edged limbs. Rin fired, but the plasma bolts ricocheted harmlessly off its hide. Lyra sprinted to the artifact's pedestal, her cybernetics flashing as she interfaced with it. "I can buy us time, but we need to move." The Guardian turned toward her, sensing the threat. Rin acted on instinct. He grabbed a discarded energy blade from a fallen Tarkin soldier and slammed it into the creature's leg joint. It shrieked, staggering. Drax seized the moment, driving his full weight into its torso. The Guardian crashed to the ground, but it wouldn't stay down for long. Lyra's hands flew over the pedestal's controls. "The artifact, it's a map. A map to something bigger." Rin's eyes widened. "Bigger how?" "A gateway," she said. "To other dimensions. Other timelines. Kale's last gamble." The chamber's entrance burst open. Kale stood there, bloodied but grinning, a squad of Tarkin elites at his back. "Thanks for clearing the way," he sneered. The Guardian stirred, rising with a furious roar. Kale didn't hesitate, he raised a device and activated it. A pulse of energy ripped through the chamber, freezing the Guardian in place. "Tarkin stasis tech," Lyra muttered. They came prepared. Kale leveled his weapon at Rin. "Hand over the artifact, or I drop the stasis field." Drax bared his fangs. "You'll doom us all." "Maybe," Kale said. "But I'll be rich first." Rin's mind raced. If Kale took the artifact, the consequences could be catastrophic. But if the Guardian broke free? Lyra met his gaze. There's another way. She reached for the artifact, and the world exploded in light. The light swallowed everything. For a heartbeat, Rin felt weightless, not just in space, but in time itself. Visions flashed before his eyes, battles that hadn't happened, worlds that didn't exist, versions of himself he didn't recognize. Then, with a thunderous crack, reality slammed back into place. The chamber was gone. They stood now in a vast cosmic bridge, a shimmering pathway stretching into infinity, with swirling galaxies and fractured timelines bleeding at the edges. The artifact hovered at the center, its glow now unstable, pulsing like a dying star. "What the hell did you do?" Kale shouted, his voice echoing unnaturally. Lyra's cybernetics flickered wildly as she struggled to stand. "It wasn't me," the artifact reacted to the stasis field. "It's destabilizing." Drax snarled, his scales bristling. "We need to shut it down." But before anyone could move, figures began materializing around them, dozens of them. Some were familiar, alternate versions of Rin in different armor, a younger Drax with no scars, even a Lyra with no cybernetics. Others were horrors, twisted reflections, beings of pure shadow, warriors from long-dead empires. The ultimate crossover had begun. The fracture. A version of Rin in a tattered coalition uniform lunged at Kale, screaming about betrayal. A Drax from a timeline where the Vorathians had conquered the galaxy raised his weapon, targeting our Drax. The chamber, no, the entire bridge, was collapsing into chaos. Lyra grabbed Rin's arm. "We have to stabilize the artifact, or every possible reality will bleed together, permanently." Kale, panicked, fired his weapon at the artifact. The energy bolt ricocheted wildly, striking a shadowy figure, which dissolved into screaming fractal light. "Idiot!" Lyra roared. "You're making it worse." The ground beneath them shuddered. Cracks split the cosmic bridge, revealing voids where time and space unraveled. Rin made a decision. "Drax, keep them off us." "Lyra, tell me how to fix this." She exhaled sharply. "We need to reset the artifact's frequency. But it'll take both of us, and it might not let go." Rin met her eyes. "Do it." The choice. As their hands touched the artifact, agony ripped through them. Rin's vision whited out, he saw the artifact's creators, a civilization that had tried to master the multiverse and paid the price. He saw the Guardian's true purpose, not to protect the artifact, but to destroy it if awakened. And he saw a way out. "Lyra. It's not a key, it's a lock," he gasped. "We have to seal it." She nodded, her cybernetics overloading. Together, they willed the artifact to close the breach. The bridge trembled. The alternate versions of themselves flickered, then began dissolving like smoke. Kale screamed as the ground vanished beneath him, and he fell into the void between realities. The artifact's light flared one final time. Then everything went dark. Darkness faded into blinding white. Rin gasped as consciousness returned, his body aching as if he'd been torn apart and stitched back together. He was lying on cold metal, the ruins floor. The artifact lay dormant nearby, its glow extinguished. Drax groaned, hauling himself up with a clawed hand. Did it work? Lyra stirred beside them, her cybernetics dark. The bridge is closed. The fracture stopped. The chamber was silent. No Guardian. No Kale. No screaming voids. Just the three of them, and the weight of what they'd done. Rin grabbed the artifact, half expecting it to react. Nothing. It was cold. Dead. "It's over," he muttered. Lyra shook her head. "No. It's just beginning. The truth." She pointed to the walls. The ancient symbols were rearranging themselves, forming a new message, a final warning. Drax growled. What does it say? Lyra's voice was hollow. The artifact was never the prize. It was a test. And we passed. A hologram flickered to life, a towering figure in robes, its face shifting between countless species. You have proven worthy, it intoned. The convergence awaits. Rin's blood ran cold. What the hell is the convergence? The figure gestured, and the chamber's ceiling dissolved, revealing the sky, except it wasn't their sky. A massive structure loomed in orbit, ancient and alien, dwarfing planets. The ultimate crossover, Lyra whispered. It was never about one artifact. It's about them all. The end, or the start. The hologram vanished. The artifact crumbled to dust in Rin's hands. Drax clenched his fists. This isn't over. Rin smirked, despite everything. When is it ever? Lyra activated her comm, we need to move. Someone else will have seen that structure. And they'll come for it. As they limped toward the surface, the sky burned with the light of incoming ships, dozens of factions, all converging on the same location. Rin looked at his unlikely allies. Well. At least we've got a head start. And as the trio boarded the Iron Claw, one truth became clear. The real crossover had only just begun. Epilogue tag. Somewhere in the multiverse, Kale opened his eyes, in a reality not his own.